Hello, in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to an Asmondgold video that was put out recently. It touches on a subject that I addressed in the past about the economy, and basically, Asmondgold points out some things that levies some weight to the things I've said in the past. So, yeah, that's what that's going to be. Then I'm going to touch base on some issues with Sea of Thieves. And then finally, I'm going to be touching base on some issues I have with the stuff going on with the Birdman videos. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Okay, so the video should start now.
You guys heard about $70 video games, right? We all heard about $70 video games? Well, we're already thinking about $80 video games now. And Borderlands 4 might indeed be $80. Fuck that? Well, what they say is fuck you.
That's it. I'm going to get one of those signs that sits behind me that says 0 days since last industry controversy. Yep. I have never seen so many companies so ready, so willing, such in a rush to try to give players more reasons not to buy their game. I sit back and I read some of this stuff, and I'm just like, why can't you guys be normal? Just for like a week? Now we have CEO Randy Pitchford coming forward to say that real fans will be able to find a way to buy their games for $80. Brushing off,
only the real fans are going to be able to spend $80 on our looter shooter slop game with millennial humor and mediocre graphics and below average gameplay. So it's only for the real fans.
And then also turning it into...
Real quick, I just want to say that $80 for the next Borderlands, I don't care how advanced it is. People did not really care for the Tiny Tina Wonderland game that came out. I quasi enjoyed it, but I mean, it was really hard to play. I bought 2 copies, one for me, one for my daughter, and we had so much trouble trying to play it together with co-op. I don't know what the issue was, but yeah. And as for Borderlands 3 did not really do very well at all. And I really doubt that Borderlands 4 is going to do any better than Borderlands 3. In Borderlands 3, a lot of people did not, when it first came out, they did not like the new little girl, Siren. I forgot what her name was, because honestly, it's been so long since I played it. I did try to play it once, but half my shit was gone. And, I just kind of forgot what everything was. Basically, I'd have to start all over, relearn everything, and it just wasn't worth it to me. I'd rather keep playing Sea of Thieves and getting my ass kicked 5 times a day then jump back onto Borderlands 3. Now, maybe if I ever decide to sit down and play all the Borderlands games, maybe then I play Borderlands 3. And that very well might happen if I ever decide to get Borderlands 4. But at $80, I'm not going to buy it day one. I'm going to wait till I can find a used copy at a local game shop or something. It's just my personal opinion. But, they're making a valid point. But they're not touching on the base, and I have seen half of this video already, so.
A fan security test. That is a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that pays off for you. Too many times, these publishers and studios are betting on blind consumerism.
Yeah.
And time again, they are proven wrong. They do not.
It's basically like the AAA game industry, their business model is that people are retarded. And they hope that if people are dumb enough, that maybe they can make money off of them. That's what it's all about.
Realize how far their actions and their words travel. Every cash out and every crash out, it's costing them. It's costing them dearly. So today what I want to do is I want to give a lesson on brand economics as a fan. Randy, we're going to talk about how your brand influences your financial performance and ultimately your future.
And that's the thing. The brand for Borderlands is not as high as it used to be. Not as high as it was back after Borderlands 2. I mean, a lot of people dropped off when Borderlands 3 came out, mostly because of all this stuff going on with Claptrap and the voice actor for Claptrap. A lot of people hated that, they had to change actors because he wasn't going to work with them no more. Let's see what else. The fact that Handsome Jack was actually dead, and there were so many fan theories that he was still going to be alive and stuff. So yeah, there's just a whole lot there that people don't care about Borderlands as much, especially when you've got other games that are out that are way bigger and better, and things people are actually looking forward to, like GTA 6. Borderlands 4 is no GTA 6.
Borderlands 4 is not the kind of game that I would just assume everybody's going to buy, regardless of how much money they have or how big of a fan they are. Better yet, used to be. With both Nintendo and Xbox increasing their prices up to $80, it's expected that other publishers will fall in line soon. And most players are already wondering which games are going to be the next ones to make the jump.
Here's the problem, is that a lot of these games, they're just not worth $70 or $80.
No, they're not.
That's the big issue, is that Randy's right, but Randy's not making Elden Ring. You're not making Baldur's Gate 3. You're making another looter shooter.
Person executives have already weighed in on the topic, and in a surprising twist, EA CEO Andrew Wilson had already stated that they have no plans to raise their prices at this time, regardless of...
Well, yeah, because you have a million fucking microtransactions and you're farming 5-year-olds with FIFA gambling. Oh, yeah, you don't need to raise the price.
That statement alone tells you how volatile this topic has become. Players are becoming more price sensitive by the day, not just because of inflation, but because...
Didn't they ban loot boxes and stuff? I could have sworn they did, a couple of years back, because it was considered online gambling for kids. And parents were all in an uproar about it. I could have sworn all that shit got banned. As far as the microtransactions, Angry Joe has actually come out and said this before. They don't release finished games anymore. They release good enough for release games. Or they purposely hold things back just so they could say, hey, we got DLCs coming. Whereas before, when games first came out like that, it was, we may have DLCs. We don't know. We don't know what the DLCs are. We haven't even begun on that. We just finished getting out the game. When that was back in the days of Oblivion. And here's the thing. Oblivion came out just recently for the PlayStation 5 and other next-gen consoles. And it did amazing. And it wasn't asking for no $80. People who actually had the money, bought the game originally, bought it again. I would prefer a physical copy to come out, and then I might buy a physical copy, but let's move on.
The price of games already went up less than 5 years ago, from $60 to $70 and now to $80.
Yep.
2 points on a graph is a coincidence, but 3 is a trend. At this rate, people aren't worried about this price hike, they're more worried about the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why when a family
if games are going up this fast in price, who's to say in 5 years games won't be $120?
It's not my fault. And B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school, working minimum wage in an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach. And I found a way to make it happen. Right, because nothing says love for a franchise like quietly accepting predatory pricing and bending over at the cash register.
Well, it's also because back then there were a bunch of other games that were really high quality. That's the other thing, is that whenever you're existing in a market that's really competitive, you have to do something in order to make yourself stand out. So there's two ways that you can make yourself stand out with video games. You either make a really good game, or you make your game really cheap. You have Vampire Survivors, or you have Elden Ring.
Imagine thinking that fandom is only defined by how much financial discomfort you're willing to endure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too. I mean, there are really good games that come out that are less than $60. I mean, look at Subnautica. I mean, I know I've talked about this in the past. Subnautica was an amazing game. They didn't have the budget to maybe have it with the Unreal Engine 5 or whatever it is. But, I mean, they did the best with what they had. And it was a phenomenal game. Yeah, it was pretty buggy and stuff. But what are you going to expect from a game that costed like $30-$40? And that's not too far from the $60 value. And they made enough to make, well, basically Subnautica 2, but I guess it's not classified as Subnautica 2, so. But anyways, me and a friend of mine, we actually were just we've been talking about this subject on and off on a different topic with TV shows. You know, they use the same pitiful excuse now for TV shows. Oh, we can only put out 8 to 10 episodes in a season because it costs so much to make an hour of footage. Really? Because in the 90s, in the 80s, they were pushing the envelope for what they could afford, and they had some really good stuff. I mean, I'm a pretty big Star Trek fan too. I know I've talked all last month about how big of a Star Wars fan I am, but I was also a big Trekkie too. You know, I grew up with Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I loved all three of those, and they had, for the time period, damn good graphics. Way better than the original series. That didn't stop them from making 24 to 25 episodes a season that ran for about an hour. Yeah, they had commercials. Maybe if, since all these streaming services are taking and making us watch ads like it's YouTube, maybe since they're doing that, they should be putting out more episodes. And you don't got to get Hollywood actors in your freaking TV shows. I mean, TV shows were for the new actors. Then those new actors, they build up a career, and then they move on to movies and stuff. But now you got TV shows that are being made, and you're hiring $1 million actor to star in it. Well, no fucking shit, your costs are going to be way up there. Because you're trying to write off somebody's name. I remember when Game of Thrones came out. They were not promoting Game of Thrones Season 1 with most of the cast. Except for one person. One person in the cast who was probably the most well-known at the time. Sean Bean. Why Sean Bean? Why was he so high-priced? Why did he only live? Well, I mean, because I know the character dies in the books pretty quick, but why did they cast Sean Bean for that role? Well, probably because they couldn't afford him to be in a more permanent role. A role that was going to be around longer than Season 1. And Sean Bean had just come out of the Lord of the Rings franchise. So he was a pretty hot commodity. He was already an actor with a pretty good long list of big movies. So, I mean, yeah, that's why it costs so much to make and why they make so little. And mostly just because they're writing off the names of famous people. Because it's not always just the graphics. And if your graphics are costing that much, then, I mean, you're doing something wrong, I guess. Because this never used to be a thing. And I think it's just really stupid. But
This isn't just tone deaf. This is loyalty tax disguised as nostalgia. So let's break this down. A multimillionaire CEO in 2025, during an era of a housing crisis, inflation, and mass layoffs, is telling players that if they really cared, they would just behave like he did in 1991 when a game still had a...
You just gotta go. You gotta understand that, brother. You go into the store and you ask to speak with the manager, and you gotta give him a firm handshake and give him your resume in person. That's how. So back in 1974, I got my first job doing that, and that's all you need to do. All right. Yep.
Physical resale value didn't have season passes, deluxe editions, microtransactions, or day one DLC. This isn't PR. This is financial cosplay. He's not relating to players. He is romanticizing economic struggles just to justify an $80 video game. That game that he bought in 1991 didn't come with a deluxe edition or expansion pass and a 6-month roadmap. You bought it, you played it, you were done with it. So that's not so different from what Borderlands 4 is going to be today.
I mean, they are going to... I mean, I don't know if this is what the guy was trying to say, but they are going to have DLCs. You know they will. I mean, I honestly don't understand why any player buys a game anymore on release and doesn't... I mean, that is the thing. Like, honestly, they are ripping you off because Borderlands 4, let's say, comes with... I think the last Borderlands 3 came with 4 DLCs. There might be more since then. But let's say 4 DLCs and like 10 microtransactions at like $2 a piece. Each DLC probably was about $20 a piece. So that's $80 plus the $60 it costs you to buy the original game. Plus, like I said, 10 microtransactions at $2. That's another $20. So, all in all, Borderlands 3 for an Ultimate Edition, a Game of the Year edition, which comes with all the shit, probably as it released, if you spent on each thing, yeah, it didn't feel like you were paying much, but ultimately you paid $160 for Borderlands 3. I'm just spitting out numbers just so you guys can get an idea. Now, it might have felt like $20 here, $2 there, another $2 there, another $20 here, another $20 there, another $6 here because 3, skins get released at once. It's just little things, and it adds up. Yet, then they release a Game of the Year edition like 2 years later that comes with all that at $80, and that's half of what you could have spent. If you didn't buy the game right away and you waited for the complete edition to come out, the complete edition was not going to be probably more than $80. Now, I'll tell you what, if they release, okay, here's the thing. If Borderlands 4 comes out and they have the base game at $60, okay, people will buy it. If they really want to charge more, then go ahead and put out a special edition that gives players access to all the DLCs for $80. That's $5. Let's say it's not, like I said, another 4 DLCs. Then because you're getting it early, you're spending the extra $5 on each DLC. That gives you all of it, the entire full game, at $80 day one. But they won't do that. I bet you they won't do that. They'll want, like they're saying here, they want to charge you $80, and they will try to rip you off by doing more DLCs down the road, so they can get more money out of you. And then they wonder why people aren't playing the game.
Here's another component. College, housing, food, and other expenses back then were not rapidly increasing beyond the rate of inflation even at the same time that the amount of money you're making isn't going up at all. So the issue isn't that. So like here's let's say this is let me go back. This is your money, okay? So this is all of your money. Well, what's happened is that people have been eating into this money. And these circles that used to be this big are now this big. And so you have, for example, food, school. Let me move this over. School. And then you have, let's see, a cell phone. And then let's go ahead and let's do another really big one, right? And let's see, this is obviously, rent, mortgage. Yeah. Mortgage. This is T. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, and so like now, like the amount of money that people have.
And under the food circle, where that line comes through, I mean, you could also say like gas. For the cell phone, you could also say internet. I mean, I'm sure you're going to need where rent is on the outside. You can put clothes. And what's inside the circle is, stuff you have to pay right away. And the stuff on the outside is stuff you want to pay for. I don't know how he's doing this graph exactly. I enlarged it so we could see the graph better. But, there's still, besides what Asmondgold is putting in here, there is so much. And these four do not cover just what you have to pay for as an adult. If you have children, you got to have money for your children. Money for the stuff your children need. And anything your children need, like me, I'm a single parent. It's me and my daughter. I don't get child support from my ex. So I'm paying for everything myself. So everything in here just about is almost doubled. I may not be going to school, but my daughter is. I got to pay for food for the both of us. Someday in the future, my daughter may or may not have a cell phone. So actually where that food bubble is. And yeah, I do get government assistance for some things, but that doesn't cover all of it, and I'm only one person. But let's go ahead and get back to it, because I know you guys are probably mad that I keep interrupting.
Has become, much more minimal. So the issue is that back then you had proportionally more disposable income because you didn't have all these extra expenses. And the price, for example, look at the price of tuition for college. And the price of tuition for college, this is the issue that a lot of people, I think Randy doesn't really understand this because it's like a third order effect. And he's not part of this generation. This is the problem that I think these people don't realize. With Unreal Engine and the other types of advances in technology, these AAA studios are not creating anything special by having good graphics anymore.
No,
by the way, you can probably play that with friends 100 hours.
That right there was precisely the point I was trying to make earlier. How much has graphics really evolved in the last 5-6 years? They've gone from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5, and maybe it has some better computing power, but all in all, it's relatively, the graphics are not much different. Very minimal. This is not like we're breaking some epic new ground here with video game technology. Now, I have put forth in the past that I believe they should, honestly, okay, if you are a gamer, tell me that this does not appeal to you. Most gamers play with microphones. Most. Everybody who has a PS5 is playing with a microphone. How cool would it be to, let's say, be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 and your microphone is turned on and you yourself have to be the voice of your character. Like, you walk into a room, let's say the character you're going to meet is Tony the Tulip. I don't know. Tony the Tulip, some mafia guy who's going to give you a mission. He called you up. He said, come to my office. I got a job for you. So you show up. You control your character. You get there. You walk into the office. And it's sort of like a cutscene, but not exactly. He tells you to sit down. You sit down, and he's like, so this is my job I got for you, kid. And then after he tells you the details of the job, you can either get up and leave, or you can get more information. Okay, what kind of security does this job have? If you say that yourself, he can say something along. He can go into a whole spiel like, oh, there's usually around like 4 cop cars patrolling the area. My guys have seen that they also have their own security team that camps out inside the building. But your best bet is to make this happen in the middle of the night when they only go by half the guards. And the police cruisers are down to 2. But if you go during the day, it's going to be harder. If you actually say something to a character, then the character will react. Whether or not you role play and use the right language. As long as you say certain things, the character in-game will respond. And if you say something crazy and outrageous, they'll just be like, I don't know nothing about that. How epic would that be for gaming technology? Where you don't have to pick from some list of what you want to say. It's just automatically, you use a microphone, and the microphone is how you communicate with NPCs. That, to me, would be epic. But let's go ahead and move on.
Completely free. Fish, for not wanting to take the L, retweeted Devolver Digital's post with this bizarre response. Mycopunk is cheaper than 1 point of meth. Probably has fewer side effects, too. What does that even mean? And now this whole thing is just going to be remembered as 2025?
Well, what does that mean? That means that back in 1991, that wasn't all Randy was spending his money on. Yeah, I'd say that it wasn't just those Sega games, bro. Like, he spent his money on all kinds of shit. And the developer wanted to price it at a lower price point. I would probably try to work with the developer and do something that they want. Especially if I'm trying to make a business relationship with this person that's going to last for 20 or 30 years.
No, Borderlands 4 was...
But here's my thing. I don't think Randy or the developer, I don't think anybody is trying to go cheaper, because they're trying to use the tariffs, the inflation, nostalgia, fandom. I mean, even the Borderlands movie was critically ripped to shreds for being a hunk of junk. Kevin Hart as Roland? Jack Black as Claptrap? I mean, if you're going to go to get Jack Black in the movie, you might as well have just thrown all that money at the original voice actor of Claptrap, and that alone would have put people in the seats. I hate this whole idea that people, like, in-game, mostly in the games, in the movies, everybody tries to say, oh, Claptrap's so annoying. But you know what? Claptrap is a fan favorite. His character is super funny. Everybody loves Claptrap. And there was a big backlash for when they fired the voice actor of Claptrap. But no, none of them are doing that. Not one of them are probably going against the grain and saying, oh, let's keep it at 60. No, they're all greedy. They're all diehard for money, which they don't need. Do you think Randy Pitchford is really hurting for money? I mean, unless he's got like huge gambling issues, do you think he's really hurting for money? I bet you he's not. I bet you he is not hurting in the least. Unless he's got some major legal issues going on. Yeah. No, the reason why they're pushing for this is because Nintendo is pushing to make their games $80 and their console more expensive. In fact, these might be the last consoles I own. I own a Switch. I own 2 PS5s. I own a PS4. I own an Xbox One. They may be the last ones I ever buy. Well, I might get the other new Xbox way, way down the road. Because I do, at some point, want to play Starfield. But yeah, I am not. I mean, I want the new Indiana Jones game for the PS5. I'm going to wait until either the price comes down or I can find it used.
To follow Nintendo or Xbox's price, just reiterated that it wasn't his call, and then added on that this game's budget is more than double that of Borderlands 3. But he finished by saying that he believes in this game, that it's great, and that it will deliver at any price point. And honestly, it might, but that's not the issue anymore. The sad part is...
No, it's too much. It's just too much. $80 for a game is too much for something like this in a market that's too oversaturated.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, if you want the truth, I mean, look at the First Descendant. I mean, the First Descendant, I think, in a lot of ways, has cleaner and better gameplay than it looks like Borderlands does. I'll be honest, I think it does. So, like, why would I not?
And you know what? About all of this. Okay, I'll tell you what. First off, this is why I wanted to do this reaction so bad. Because this entire thing is proving my point. And we're only 15 minutes or 16 minutes into this video. And this entire thing is proving one point that I made a long time ago in a past video. I forget which one. But I basically said, when the whole thing about inflation was starting here in the U.S., that the economy is highly fucked up. Because when people get an increase in wages, then the prices of everything starts to go up. So what changed? Okay, you're saying you gotta raise the price on the video game because you're paying more to make the video game with the developers and everything else because you gotta pay them more money. So you're raising the game prices. What changed? What changed from when it was a $60 game to an $80 game? Does this new technology that your developers are working with require more effort on their part? Probably not. Probably not. Especially since we are getting word that soon, like in the next 5 years or so, you can, at your own computer, type in what kind of game you want, what kind of characters are in it, what the main story is, what the objectives are, and an AI will create a game for you. Now, it may not be super great at first, but over time. So these developers, everybody who's in this position right now, possibly losing their jobs, they're like, gimme. Because soon I'm going to be gone and I won't be able to take no more. Soon these developers will be out of jobs because AI will be doing the job for them. And they wonder why they're going to be replaced. They wonder why the owners and the big time money makers are going to be like, you know what? We'll just have the AI do it. We're going to pay you a fraction of what you had. And we're only going to keep you around to make sure that the AI system is working. That's why.
Just play that out.
But tell me, what is different?
This doesn't have to be a controversy. George just said what he said at the event, or better yet, said nothing at all. The conversation would have moved on. Maybe people would have grumbled about potential price hike. Maybe they would wait for a sale, but that would have been the end of it. Instead, he gave players another reason not to buy his game. One that has nothing to do with the price tag and everything to do with the person behind it. And that's
I think also there's a big component to it where like a lot of consumers don't want to spend money on expensive games because they're worried that by doing so they will create an ecosystem where those games are allowed to grow and get popular and make money. It's like you don't want to reward a behavior that you don't want to continue.
Problem is
Pretty
not
simple.
just about the $80 price tag, it's about the arrogance, the entitlement, and the complete lack of understanding about how players actually think. Pitch first turned what could have been a calm, consumer-level concern into a loyalty test. He didn't just spend the price, he turned it into a challenge, a line in the sand, and this behavior isn't rare anymore. It's becoming a pattern.
It's patronizing, and I think it's especially patronizing to young people whenever they see people that are older who grew up in an economy they felt like that at least young people from their perspective, that economy was like more rewarding and people had more of a chance in it. And then to have somebody from that culture come and like talk down to them about selling a product to them, that's going to immediately trigger the fuck out of people. They're going to.
And even for us older people, I would say it triggers us because it's like, well, you're making it too high for even us because out of the group that he was just talking about, only a small fraction are super successful. Maybe, okay, so only a small fraction of my generation became rich. About half probably became well off. But there's still plenty of us that are basically low income or poor. And are you trying to sell your game to feed? Because I can tell you that half I just said, only 1/4 of that half actually probably would play Borderlands 4. And probably not even that much. Probably more like 1/8 of that.
Be mad as fuck about that. And it makes sense. The door is shut behind them. And I think they're right. I do. I think all these like teenagers and college students and stuff like that want communism, I think that they're wrong that that's the solution, but they're right that there's a problem.
Across the
There's
entire
a huge problem.
We've seen this time and time again. Developers and executives either don't understand the weight that their words can carry, or worse, they think that they're untouchable because of their titles. They treat their personal social media accounts like it's a diary, forgetting that everything they say will reflect back on the studio, their coworkers, and the game that they are trying to sell. And when those comments backfire, the damage doesn't just hit them alone, it hits everybody around them.
Yeah.
Just look at Helldivers 2 that game.
This is another really big component, is that when a person in a studio says something, like another great example of this was Matt Hansen from the Avowed studio Obsidian, is that when he started making all these statements about how Elon Musk was bad, and he was putting in pronouns in the game, and like all this other weird like alienating political language, that kind of stuff hurt the entire studio, and it damaged the whole game. And so when you can't keep your mouth shut and then you negatively affect the product in a massive way, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody around you.
Yeah, because like there's been a couple games that have come out in the last couple years, and I used to buy like a new game every 3 months. I won't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. Hell, I'm lucky if I buy myself 1 or 2 games for my birthday or Christmas. And I have to know in advance that I really want that game. And if I hear it's gone woke, well, screw that. I'm not wasting my money on that. I don't want to support that crap. So, I mean, there again, like he's saying, you're losing customers. I mean, look at all the backlash with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And it doesn't matter if you agree with it or disagree with it. I don't care one way or the other. Because I'm not a huge Assassin's Creed fan. But there are a lot of Assassin's Creed fans out there. And even if you don't care on one way or another, the fact that you're still being kind of told you have to choose a side. Do you choose a side that says, oh, hey, it's a game. It's not like this is real life. It's a game. So what does it matter if they change history? I mean, that's what the entire thing is all about anyways. It's about kind of going back in time and changing history to find things. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan, but I know a little bit about it. I did just buy a Shadow. Well, I didn't just buy it. I got it for Christmas, so it's like 6 months ago. But I got Shadows, or not Shadows, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I still haven't put that in and played it at all. I have it, I just haven't played it. I also haven't played other games that I want to get around to at some point. Like Stellar Blade, Kingdom Come 2. I can't decide what I want to play first. But when we get to the Sea of Thieves stuff, I'll probably deal more with that. By the way, just real quick, I know I'm cutting out a bunch of stuff. So if you ever do want to see this whole video and see the stuff I skipped over, I will try to put a link down in the comments below or down in the description. So let's get back to it.
If I was CEO, I would have fired him. No, the reason why they didn't fire him is because the CEO and the people at the company probably agree with him. That's the reason why. And I think that's one of the reasons why people lose trust in these development studios, because you're right. I mean, if he had said the same thing about black people that he said about white people, everybody knows that he'd be out of a job in a day. But the reason why he didn't is because of this double standard. And I think that people resent that double standard. They see it. It's obvious. You can't tell people it's not real. And because of that, you have people that just massively lose trust. It was so weird.
The trust was gone. It didn't even get a year of them replacing staff, rebuilding goodwill, and delivering real updates for them to be able to recover that audience they once had by default. Or go look at Starfield. That game's reception was already shaky, but whatever sympathy Bethesda had left had evaporated by the time that their narrative lead, Emil Pagliarulo, logged on to scold players on Twitter saying that they don't understand how hard it is to make games. Instead of just listening to players about what they actually wanted, freedom, personality, or reason to care.
The funny thing is, Emil wasn't completely wrong, but it doesn't matter whether he was wrong or not. That's what these people don't understand, is that you don't negotiate, you don't guilt trip the customer. That doesn't work.
He guilt tripped them as if emotional manipulation.
Exactly. That's what you don't do. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
To patch out a lack of meaningful content. Guess what? It didn't work. Avowed, Concord, Starfield, Helldivers 2, the list goes on. Different games, different studios, same exact problem. Developers treating players like obstacles, personal politics, and petty grudges.
I really like the fact that he said that. Developers that treat players like obstacles. That's exactly the way that I feel. That's a great way to put it.
Overriding professionalism, and every single time the exact same result. Disappointment, backlash, silence, and loss of players. That's what makes this all so frustrating. It's not about just one quote or one tweet or one tone-deaf reply. It's about a pattern. These companies are already asking players to pay more than ever. And when the people that are representing those companies act dismissive, snide, or outright combative, it just gives players a very easy reason to just walk away.
And it's also, again, like, I really think that we need to talk about the class dynamics of this. You have an older man who enjoyed the privileges of the perceived better economy that is now a multimillionaire that is patronizing younger people trying to buy a product, telling them that, oh, you'll find a way to make it work just like I did. I think that really, really rubs people the wrong way. The same as, if you're a broke boy, just say so. It's the exact same thing. And it's not, it's really class. Like, obviously, generations matter. Like, that, like, it's an older person talking down, and so it's like a perception of a different economy. But people feel the same about streamers. Like they do, of course, right? And this is like, for example, like whenever, I don't really sell merch or anything like that. But I remember, like, OTK got negative feedback with, certain things that we sold. Like, they said, oh, this is too much money. And it's like Starforge is a great example. When I was involved with Starforge, on day one, day one was the worst day of that company. No, that's not true. The worst day of the company was probably the day that Trump announced the tariffs. The second worst day of the company was probably the first day. And so, that was like, because a lot of people were very, very negative about it, right? And they hated it because we had an i3 processor, and like we sat down, and I remember it was an all hands on deck. Like Charlie was there, Schlatt was there, Tips was there, like all the guys from Starforge was there, I was there, S-Man, Nick was there, everybody was there, right? And we decided businesses don't seem to understand either in general.
All right.
Marketing budget, but it doesn't take a whole lot to come across a stray quote or a headline. You don't have to be watching videos like this. If you are remotely interested in Borderlands,
the entire idea that everybody now, and also think about what is, think about the level of disrespect that these companies are exhibiting by even using this as an argument. It's okay for us to sell a bad product that's discussed online in depth about it being negative and problematic, because we have an army of retards that are going to see a commercial for it on TV and buy it anyway. What a shitty business model. Like really, I mean, what a cynical, shitty business model that is.
There's a good chance that you're going to be scrolling Twitter or Reddit or YouTube or whatever it might be, and you're going to see something, and all of a sudden somebody that had passing interest in something is going to pass entirely.
Yeah,
exactly. It's as easy as that. Once negative sentiment starts, it is impossible to put out. It spreads.
It is possible to put it out, but it's really hard. It took Starforge probably 6 months to rebuild that trust, if not longer. Think about how long it took for CD Projekt Red. How long it took for No Man's Sky.
But here's the thing, though. Well, I mean, with No Man's Sky, I played it right away. And I was kind of enjoying it, but kind of not. Because it did get kind of boring after a while. I've heard it got better, and I've tried it here and there, but I still can't, fully commit to No Man's Sky for some reason. I just immediately start getting bored again. I played a couple different times through I'm spacing on the name, Cyberpunk 2077. I played through that a couple times when I bought it on opening. I can't imagine that it's gotten any better. I mean, it was just fine for me. I mean, I played through Elden Ring. The only reason why I stopped playing Cyberpunk or Elden Ring was because they would make changes to these games. And it's like, why did you change the game? It doesn't, I mean, there was nothing, I mean, yeah, there were glitches and stuff. There was loopholes and whatnot. But, I mean, it's not like it's an online game. It's a game that somebody paid for. If they want to cheat their way through by using a glitch or something, then whatever. Let them do that. There was a popular channel for Elden Ring that taught you how to cheese through the tough bosses. And I mean, you can go and you can fight the bosses, but if you want to cheese your way through, use certain attacks, use certain weapons to make it easier on yourself, then whatever, do that. You paid for the game. What does it matter? Now, when you play online, when you play with other people, that's totally different. But when you're playing through just the main story, what the fuck does it matter what you do with your game? And I think that's just the biggest issue there. Why I quit playing Elden Ring. Why I quit playing Cyberpunk 2077. Because I was paying for those games, and I didn't appreciate getting those updates. So, let's go ahead and move on.
You can rebuild the trust, and oftentimes the trust being rebuilt makes it stronger than it was in the beginning. But at the same time, like, From Software hasn't really ever needed to rebuild trust, and I think that people trust them, and I think they're great. Same as Valve. So, like, you don't need to do that. Rebuilding requires making a good product. Yeah, and it costs a lot of money. It's better to maintain trust. It's cheaper.
But that's the problem, is they're not making good quality games anymore. They're just, hurry up, let's put out a game. If it has problems, we'll fix it later. It's like, well, if you don't want that to happen, then fix it now. Fix it now. Take care of the game that you built. Show some actual effort in the video games you build. I mean, it's not an online game. It's not like, it needs to be updated. And even online games. Sometimes even, like, when I play Sea of Thieves, I have the same issues. Like, there was a recent... Well, you know what? No, I'll get into that later. But let's go ahead and continue.
It's cheaper to maintain trust than to rebuild it.
As hardcore fans, people making YouTube videos for Borderlands content, people that stream it and things like that, they might be able to brush it off, but the wider audience, no. The people that have been burned before, the people that are sitting on the fence, the people are wondering whether or not they're even going to be able to afford it, when something like this hits their feed, it just reinforces all of their most negative and worst assumptions possible. These developers are out of touch.
Every negative possible thing you can imagine is true.
The pricing is unjustified, and now here I am sitting here and seeing the CEO say that if I want to play their game, I need to dig deep to be able to be taken seriously.
Yeah, Jesus.
What really kills me is the complete lack of just living on Earth when it comes to some of these executives. They cannot see anything past their own ego. You're sitting here telling me, during a housing crisis, all this inflation, all these prices going up, you're trying to tell the common customer that we increased our prices, we increased our staff by 150 members, we increased our budget by more than twice the amount,
and you gotta pay for it.
We're going to need you guys to be able to make that up.
Yep.
You overspent, you overstaffed. This is your problem.
You make a bad financial decision, and then you expect the customer to bail you out. That's not how it works.
I have the same problem at my own job. Our boss, she keeps hiring. Well, maybe our owner keeps hiring. I don't know which one exactly. But they keep hiring more and more drivers. When we have plenty of drivers. I am getting like 3-4 days of work right now at my other job. Besides, the one where I'm a writer and I, write books and I do this YouTube stuff. But at my job that I actually make my money that I live on, they're hiring more and more drivers. Why? We don't need them. It is summertime. People are not ordering pizza. People are out there grilling because I live in an area where 6 to 8 months out of the year, it's freaking colder than shit outside, and nobody wants to go outside and do anything. So what do? They order pizza. But we don't need more drivers in the summer. Yeah, I get it. Kids are out of school, but we're not supposed to be hiring anyone under 18. But we do. Well, I mean, we can hire people under 18, but they're supposed to be like phone kids, maybe cooks, not drivers. That's a liability cost on the company. That's in the Pizza Hut freaking policy that, no drivers under 18 for reasons of they could get sued. But, hey, it's whatever, and if I need to go get another job, I guess I'll have to find another job. But they don't take care of the people they have. They don't treat us the best, and they spread out our hours so thin. And it's like, why? And they wonder, because all these kids, they keep quitting and stuff. Well, because they need hours too. And if you're just going to keep hiring more and more people, people are going to quit. So it's like, what are you doing? That doesn't even make any sense. You're hiring more people for no reason when a lot of them are just going to, like, we had this one kid who came and worked for us. It was his third time that he's been rehired, and he just quit after like 1 month. 1 month he came back to work, and he was offered a better job for the summer, and he went and took that. Like, okay, thanks. Those hours could have gone to people who needed them, people who wanted them. But nope. Let's do things the wrong way. And it's not just my company that I work for that's doing this. A lot of companies are doing this. Why? Why are they being so stupid?
But you want us to make that math work? No. Personally, I don't understand where all this optimism is coming from. Pitchford is acting like Borderlands is untouchable. But the way things have gone lately, you can only be certain that your real fans will be able to show up if you even have them. I am, for all intents and purposes, a diehard Borderlands fan. I want Borderlands 4 to be amazing because if it's good, I'll probably pour hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours into it. That's a lot. As somebody who grew up on Diablo and loves first-person shooters, this series has always felt like it was tailor-made for me. I love the build crafting, the endless loot, the tight gunplay, the class variety, and it's one of the best co-op experiences in all of gaming.
And it is. That's why I do like Borderlands. And I would love to play Borderlands on day one. But I'm not going to be able to afford it. Not unless, my books suddenly take off. Which I'm always hopeful every day that somebody, somewhere, will actually see one of my videos and be like, hey, that was such a great ad for your video that I actually think I want to check out the series, and then they review it online or something. That would be amazing. That would make my freaking day. And if they love my series, which most people have, but
is at its best. It plays like a co-op MMO with bite-sized stories. That's awesome. And it has some of the most creative combat loops that are out there. Sirens with their space magic, pet and turret classes, other characters serving as weapons platforms, guns that shoot guns, launch bees and scream at you, legendary drops that completely change your playstyle, true Vault Hunter mode, raid bosses, DLC that actually matters. And it's one of the last remaining franchises that hasn't thrown itself headfirst into live service hell. No battle pass, no seasonal resets, no login bonuses.
I mean, you're not going to do that at all with Borderlands 4. I mean, I'll believe that when I see it.
They're overpriced, complete experience, packed with content, with expansions that actually expand on something. In a lot of ways, Borderlands is a reminder of what games used to be, before monetization warped the entire genre. But that's the thing. What Borderlands represents and what Borderlands has become are two completely different things. And what I don't think Gearbox has acknowledged, or maybe hasn't realized, is that Borderlands has a reputation for the few, not the many. On paper, this franchise is still giant. 93 million copies sold, a long list of mainline titles and spin-offs, massive brand recognition. When you zoom in, and it starts to tell a different story. Borderlands 2 alone counts for 30 million of those sales. And just because a franchise has legacy doesn't mean that that audience is going to show up again. Look at Dragon Age of the Veilguard. That's a franchise that had critical acclaim, massive fan investment.
That's actually a really good example because Dragon Age Origins, I think, didn't it win Game of the Year whenever it came out? And like, did that help it whenever Dragon Age the Veilguard came out? No, it was garbage. People hated it.
But over the years, BioWare chipped away at the formula, changing the gameplay, shifting the tone, making thematic changes that didn't really sit all that well with players. By the time Veilguard rolled out, that reputation had already worn thin. The trailers didn't land, the tone felt off, and when it released, the audience didn't show up for it. It missed its sales targets, it didn't make its money back, and it didn't matter how loved Origins was, it only mattered how good Veilguard looked right now.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to guilt people into buying a game because they liked the game 12 years ago. I mean, especially not with all the bad press around it, too. It's not like it was only one bad thing about the game. There were like 10 bad things about it. Nothing about it was good. The combat looked like garbage. The graphics were garbage. The story looked weird. They had like weird woke stuff in it, too, that was alienating for people. Like, everybody thought it was bad.
Borderlands is not immune to that. Legacy can only get you so far.
I mean, I played Dragon Age Origins, and I think I played the second one. And I was only like, on it. I was just playing it with back when I used to be married, I played it with my ex-wife, but, I mean, even it was just kind of like, it's okay. It's playable. I mean, I like it, I guess, but I don't love it. And that's just the thing. A lot of games that I actually do love are games that either have little to no story at all, or like really hard to find stories. Like, I do love Sea of Thieves. I think Sea of Thieves is a really good but you gotta look really hard for the storyline. It's not like, the story hits you over the face. And it's more about the exciting aspect of Sea of Thieves. I'm just like, I want to reach this combination. I want to have the coolest looking, gear or something. I don't really care about the PvP. I think most of the PvP sucks. I think a lot of the players suck too because, well, for reasons I'll get into later in this video. But, I mean, as far as Dragon Age goes, as far as a lot of these games go, I mean, I really liked Silent Hill 2 because I had played the original Silent Hill 2, and I was happy to see Silent Hill 2 come back again. I thought it was amazing that they remastered it, and that did extremely well. I could actually see that doing better than Borderlands 4. I think that game probably is going to outsell Borderlands 4 in its initial time. But, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I'm not too crazy on what Borderlands 4 is probably going to be. I think it's probably going to just really suck. And no matter what, whether it sucks or not, I think a lot of the fans are going to tear it apart when it does come out. So,
when issue entry leaves a worse impression than the last. The pre-sequel was the first sign of this. It reused assets, leaned heavily on recycled systems, and told a side story that nobody asked for. It is still the worst-selling game in the series. Then came Borderlands 3, a mechanical leap forward that modernized the gameplay, selling 22 million copies, but it dropped the ball entirely when it came to writing and tone. I have a love-hate relationship with Borderlands 3. I love playing it, but I hate the fact that I'm playing that game specifically. The gameplay loop is incredible, but every time a character opens their mouth, I want to mute the game. They followed up one of gaming's most iconic villains, Handsome Jack, with 2 live-streaming space influencers narrating your every move. They leaned hard into this influencers thing, and even harder into the worst kind of millennial irony. Surface level references, smug quips, and jokes less funny than watching The View. And probably the most damning part of the game.
That's one of the big issues, too, is that the writing is being done by millennials. Like, millennials have done irreparable damage to writing, and it cannot be over.
And that right there, what they were just saying, was a lot of the criticisms people had about Borderlands 3. How it was inferior to Borderlands 2. Now, me personally, I like Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Mostly because of the fact it sets up Borderlands 1, I believe, right? Yeah. Or it kind of explains Borderlands 1. Because when Borderlands 1 came out, it did not seem like they really had a roadmap for what was going on. They just wanted to try something and see what they could do. And it actually worked out for them. So they said, hey, we got something here. Let's dive into it. And then they made Borderlands 2 immediately. But then people were like, hey, wait a minute. What's going on? And I think that's why they made the pre-sequel. Because it was a sequel to 1, but pre to 2. If I remember correctly. Yeah. But anyways, let's move on.
Overstated. Do you think the increasing price has anything to do with recouping money from the movie flop? No, because every studio's doing it.
They killed off beloved legacy characters and shoved new ones in your face like you were supposed to care, especially Ava, one of the most grating, self-important characters I've ever seen shoehorned into a major franchise. Yeah. The whole thing had this weird, forced, female empowerment thing that was going on, but it was all corporate branding on top of it.
This is the problem, is that, like, everybody can tell when they're trying to push some, like, weird, like, women agenda or something like that. Like, a lot of guys, and, like, I think average people can tell.
I mean, I really didn't get that from Borderlands 3, mostly because we've only ever known sirens to be women. I mean, honestly, my biggest issue was I thought we were gonna go more places. It would have been much cooler to have some space battles in there, like if you had your own fighter or something and you had to protect the main ship Sanctuary. I mean, they made a big deal about going to other planets, which we did, but it would have been cool to have like some space battles or something. But maybe we'll get that.
I think maybe they think they're being subtle about this, but if you're not even good at, like, if you can't even write good jokes, what do you think the chances are that you can write a good agenda? Well, you can't. And so people see what's going on and they realize they're playing a product that is fundamentally inauthentic. And that's why they stop having interest in it. It's a huge factor.
It just didn't land. It didn't work. It was bad. Mm-hmm. And the damage didn't end there. The backlash from Borderlands 3 carried directly into Tiny Tina's Wonderland, a game that should have been a slam dunk. Expanding on the franchise's most beloved DLCs and turning it into a full game should have meant something, but the reception was room temperature, safe, forgettable. By the time it launched in 2022, a lot of the longtime fans had already tapped out.
Yeah, I know.
The writing hadn't matured, the humor hadn't evolved, and critically, the endgame was just non-existent. DLC never fixed that issue, and for a series known for replayability, Wonderlands gave players very little reason to come back. So post the peak of Borderlands 2, you've already expended much of this franchise's reputation and it burned out longtime fans, but I don't even think winning back old fans is going to be Borderlands 4's biggest problem. The issue that they're going to be running into is the damage that's been done to the brand, because Borderlands isn't just competing.
This is one of the big issues that a lot of people don't understand with branding, is that whenever a company's brand is damaged, it's something that happens over time. It doesn't happen like immediately. It's not like, oh, instantaneously the brand is awful and everybody hates this game. No, or this product. No, it happens like the first product that comes out that's bad, a lot of people can usually forgive that. But then whenever it's the second one and the third one, that's whenever people really start to lose interest. It's gradual. Yeah, that's what I think happened with Bungie. It's what happened with Blizzard. And it's what's happened with a lot of studios. And I think if Elder Scrolls 6 is bad, it's going to happen to Bethesda as well.
With other games, it's competing with its own reputation. The Borderlands movie bombed catastrophically, pulling in just $18 million on a $110 million budget. Miscast, tone deaf, utterly disconnected from what made it so special. And for a lot of people, that's their first exposure that they've had to this franchise in years. Not the games, the flop. Then there's Take-Two's recent update to their end-user license agreement, a move so anti...
And that's the thing about the Borderlands movie. I know I made a video on that too, but I mean, goddamn, the Borderlands movie was so easy. It was so easy to peg that. All you had to do, the only thing you had to do was stick to the game. I mean, it looked like Borderlands. It really did. The graphics were amazing. The costumes were amazing. You know what the biggest, suckiest thing about the movie was? Not one damn character in that movie was anything like the actual character from the game. Lilith was some old lady instead of some young, hot, attractive actress who was like 25. Roland was Kevin fucking Hart. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's a little prequel to what's coming this month on our channel. But two of the movies we're watching this month have Kevin Hart. And it's probably the few movies of his that I can actually stand him in. But then you had Jack Black as the voice of Claptrap. I mean, they looked like their characters on the outside, like their costumes, great. The people wearing the costume, nothing like the actual characters. And then they didn't even have Handsome Jack. They didn't even have his daughter, Angel. And they could have had freaking Ryan Reynolds, who would have been perfect for fucking Handsome Jack. It would have been cool to see Ryan Reynolds play a villain. Especially a villain like Handsome Jack, a fan favorite that everybody loves. But no, we're going to get some more random people that no one's even heard of before.
Consumer, that it sparked a review bombing campaign across all of their franchises. Modding, bannable. VPN use, bannable. Exploits in a single-player game, bannable. Class action.
Why would anybody give a fuck about exploiting in a single-player game? How does that benefit the customer in any way to ban people for exploiting in a single-player game? Why? Who cares? You bought the game. They've got your money. Like Elden Ring has a mod that turns you into a jet engine, and you can blow everything up as not a jet engine, sorry, a fighter jet, and you can go around and blow everything up instantly, and somehow that's totally fine.
Lawsuit? Wait,
so what happened?
Data harvesting, front and center. Meanwhile, their competition hasn't just caught up. It's already past them. Deep Rock Galactic, Remnant 2, Helldivers 2, Risk of Rain 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, Rust Equal Company. The co-op space is stacked right now. Some of these games are cheaper, some of them are free, and most of them feel fresher and more ambitious than what Borderlands has been offering lately. All of this leading up to the real question, who is this game even for anymore? Because
It's for fat millennials that own at least 5 Funko Pops that still watch Marvel movies.
people that grew up.
That's what it's
for.
for.
They've grown up.
Everybody knows
in 20s, 30s, or 40s now. They have kids, careers, limited time, and they're not lining up to drop $80 on a franchise they used to love just because.
And this is another. He actually brings up a really good point here. This is something I don't really talk about enough. Is that when you're a guy and you have let's say even if you have a lot of money, buying a video game that you're going to play for $1,000 because you play video games all day has a higher value add for you than buying a video game that you can play for 3 hours on Saturday and maybe a half hour or an hour a couple of times in a week. And so that's another big issue is that as people, get older and their priorities change, what happens is that now that value is no longer fully realized.
Back. They want value. They want trust. But you're not seeing either. And Gen Z players, they didn't grow up on Borderlands 2. They came up through Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, games that speak an entirely different language. Their first impressions likely came from Borderlands 3, Wonderlands, or the dumpster fire of
the movie. Yeah, exactly.
None of that reflects Borderlands at its peak, and none of it really sells the fantasy. And that's what makes this all so risky, because legacy players aren't impressed, and new
Also,
audience.
I feel like the graphics haven't really improved. I think that there's a way to do this graphical style that's way cleaner and better than what they're doing. And how they're handling this is very, very mediocre. It's literally the same. Yeah. It's like you should, for example, Dark Souls 1 and Elden Ring are the same style, but they just keep getting better. Where it's like when I look at Borderlands 4 and I compare it to what Borderlands 2 looked like, it's basically the same thing.
businesses never cared in the first place, then who's going to be left to rally around this game? 6 years have passed since Borderlands 3. That's long enough for a generation of players to move on and forget or form new habits. And the longer that you're gone without momentum, or in the case of Borderlands, killing your own momentum, the harder it is to claw back relevance. You need every advantage that you can get. You need a pitch that resonates beyond your core audience. But instead, Pitchford Thomas feels like he's betting on...
He does have a pitch that resonates beyond his core audience. It's resonated with everybody, and everybody's come together to say that he's a retard. So it's resonated with the entire internet. It worked.
But I'm going to go ahead and stop that video there. I want to make a few last comments. But yeah, I mean, this basically goes to show that I was right. You know? Not just about the stuff I said tonight, but about the whole economy thing. And I don't know why people don't see how stupid this is. Because, I mean, you have employees. They want to get paid more money. So yes, you pay them more money. And to compensate for that, your plan is to now go and up your price. To immediately compensate. I'm sorry, but I think, and this is kind of the whole President Trump thought process here with the tariffs and stuff, you know, building here back in America. Yeah, it might cost you a little more at the beginning, but in the long run, you'll make more money. Yes, you can pay your employees more money now, take a loss. I mean, if you are a small business, like I got into a discussion once with a family member, and they're like, well, what are the small businesses supposed to do? Okay, first off, small businesses, usually, they're not upping their prices because they're not going to change what they pay their employees, because generally, their employees are their families or friends. And the family and friends, they're going to know, hey, we're a small company. We don't have the money to be upping our prices. We don't have the money to be paying you more. I'm sorry. But you know what? They wouldn't need to do that if every other fucking company in the world didn't jack their prices up because they're paying their employees more. You know what would actually work? What would actually help is if you just paid people more but kept your fucking prices down. How does that work, you're asking? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because now when people have more money coming in, they feel a freedom to go and do more shit. They were talking about, oh, well, if you got the money, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it. Why do I need to find a way to make it? Why is the economy so hard that I got to try to find a way? There is a very good line in It's a Wonderful Life. Why should a person have to work and slave away for something they can't even enjoy? Okay, so let's go by this logic then. By everybody's stupid logic that, oh, okay, well, you need to make more money. So now I need to go out and get a second job. If I'm getting a second fucking job to make more money, I'm not going to have zero time to play your fucking video game. Congratulations, you just ensured now I will not buy your video game. Because while struggling to get another job and fit another job into my lifestyle, I have to give something up. Think I'm giving up my daughter? No. Think I'm giving up my job that actually pays me? No. You think I'm going to give up trying to promote my books or write my books? No. You know what I have to give up? My free time. So now I have no free time. So if I have no free time, why am I going to buy a video game? Oops. Guess I didn't think about that. Like I said, and I've said this many times, I'll keep saying it again. The economy, the way it is so fucking retarded. It is so stupid. And if Asmongold actually reacted to this video, I'm sure he'd see my point of view and agree with it 100%. If people were paid more money, yeah, at first nobody's going to go out and do things right away. Maybe a few people will splurge on something they've really been wanting. But a lot of people are going to try to pay off their bills, catch up on debts, put money into savings. But after a year or two, guess what? They'll start to have more money in their bank accounts. They'll start to have more money in their wallets. And things will be going good for them. And they'll say, you know what? I want to buy some games. I got some time. I'm not slaving away every second of my life. I can take my kids out to Disney or Universal. I could go out to eat more often with my family, with my friends. But if you just keep raising people's pay, then immediately raising the price of things, nothing's fucking changing. And no wonder this wheel just keeps spinning around on this, doing the exact same thing. Because nothing in the wheel is changing. The only thing is, the wheel got bigger. That's it. That's all. The numbers got bigger. That's all that changed. In fact, because, honestly, I'm going to guarantee that this is probably a thing, too, that these companies are so fucking greedy, these guys at the top are so fucking money hungry, that they actually probably overcompensate so the next time the employees come to them and say, we want more money, they won't take any loss ahead of time. They'll have built up a savings for themselves. Instead of taking a mere loss for a couple years, for let's say at max 5 years of a loss. But here's what they're not thinking about. They're thinking about, oh, well, we're going to keep the customers we have. Instead of thinking, you know what? If we actually keep things the same, we might take a loss for 2 to 5 years. But after that 5 years, we'll double our client base. We'll triple our sales. But they're not thinking about that. They're thinking now. But anyways, like I said, if you want to watch this video of Asmongold's, you can go ahead. There's only like 7 minutes left of his video. I'm sure he's not, I'm sure it's pretty much over. I'm sure he was about to wrap up. But that is why I wanted to do this. Because this video kind of really does go and say, this is why they're raising prices, because they know people are stupid enough to go buy it. And when they don't go buy it, how many people have probably already ordered the Nintendo Switch 2? When you are being told the truth, Nintendo has come out and said that basically you're not going to own it. The games you got, you can't own them either. The cartridge is just a key to getting it online. It's no different than the stupid freaking cards they used to sell. I think they might even still sell. I don't know if they do or not. But they used to have a thing where you could go buy a card at Walmart for $60, go home, go on to the PlayStation store, scratch off the back, type in a code, and I think you needed like a code on the receipt too that activated it. And between those two codes, you got your game digitally. But anyways, we are going to take a quick break. So when we're done, we'll come back and I'll start seeing these stuff. And I'll finish this up. So I just want to say before we go, this is like, I hope you all have really been enjoying these new ads. I really hope you enjoy it. I loved working on them, and almost as much as I enjoyed writing my books. And I made sure that they're really good for what they say towards the books. So
in the shadows of a winter night so cold, the North Pole's tale of courage must unfold. Enemies surround, dark clouds in the sky. Santa gathers his forces, for freedom they'll vie. With whispers of magic and fears intertwined, an army of legends, their destinies aligned. We're rising together through sorrow and pain. With hope in our hearts, we'll break every chain. The North Pole is ours, our spirits ignite. A battle for hope will emerge from the night. Elves with their laughter, warriors at heart, trolls with their strength, ready to take part. Fairies will beckon the winds to obey, as goblins plot mischief to light up the fray. In forests enchanting, where darkness has grown, dwarves and humans uniting, reclaiming their throne. We're rising together through sorrow and pain. With hope in our hearts, we'll break every chain. The North Pole is ours, our spirits ignite. A battle for home will emerge from the night. So gather your courage, let courage unfold. For the magic of winter leaves a sight to behold.
all right, and we're back. I really hope you guys enjoyed those. I mean, I've been putting them in all my videos for the last several months, especially our D&D videos. So if you want to hear all of them, you will find them throughout our videos. And I love those songs. Some are better than others, but I really do love every single one of them. But all right, let's move on to Sea of Thieves. So recently we just had Season 16 drop, and they were talking about it being a big Reaper season. We're still within the first few weeks. I thought everything was going to be great at first. I was really on board with everything, and I found out that there was a thing that they had, I guess you could call it, messed up on, but it didn't seem like it was a mess up, where you could put the skull into a chest, and if you didn't put the skull on a chest, then the skull shows up on the map. But here's the thing. Most players who are going to be doing these quests are going to raise the Reaper flag. And they went and did a hot fix just this week where they removed that putting it in a chest actually hides it. Now, I don't like this for one main reason, because right now with that being the newest quest and having combinations to deal with it, like there's certain things you need to do all the combinations, but it's going to be so hard because some players are going to be lucky and there's not going to be many players on when this is happening. But the more time passes, the more the really try-hard players who have already completed the combinations, they're just going to start camping out at Reaper's Hideout. And they're going to basically tear any crew that comes there and tries to sell apart. They're going to do that. I know this. And I just think that's wrong. Because, I mean, the entire point is, and I've been saying this for so long, and a lot of players disagree with me, but, you know, this is not really a pirate game. If you ask any of the streamers, is this really a pirate game? They'll say no, it's a PvP game with some PvE elements. It's a sandbox with a pirate theme. That's what they'll say. I know because I've heard them say that. Those exact words have come out of Fuzzy Bond. I'm spacing. Hippo TC. Two of the biggest names in Sea of Thieves. Because this is not a real pirate game. Because if this was a real pirate game, Reapers would not betray each other. They would not work against each other. They would not be trying to hurt each other to complete a commendation. They would be joining in an alliance and making sure they succeeded. Now, pirates actually did not go around killing each other unless they had an actual legitimate reason to kill each other. They did not go to war with one another unless they had a reason to. They did not betray each other unless they had a reason to. In fact, being a pirate kind of gave you a free pass over things where they were more willing to work with you than anyone else. If you were not running up a pirate flag, they would not give you a chance. And that was mainly because they all had one big enemy, the governments. Now, we don't really have governments in Sea of Thieves. I kind of wish we did. But then that would give, the players a united enemy to confront. But we don't. So, naturally, the players think, oh, it's okay to just go around and kill each other. And then when people argue with that, they say, well, it's a pirate game. What kind of fucking pirates do you think really existed? Even nowadays, I'm pretty sure the pirates now that exist do not go around killing each other. They're all probably part of the same group, working for the same cause, the same goals. So, no, this is not a pirate game. However, with that said, I also want to address issues I have with, I was talking about earlier, with the hourglass. So recently, with the spark of the Reaper season, that's what I'm calling this, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to finish up. I finally got my Reaper level up to 100. Now I just got to get the PvP faction up to 100. I'm pretty close. I'm 12 levels away. And I keep running into players. And I have my own style of how I play. But to these people, stop running away. First off, in Hourglass, you're in a circle. Like what you see on screen in the middle of my screen, that's a circle. I can't go outside the circle. If I could go all over the map and make you chase me around the entire map, well then maybe you could call that running away. But I'm sailing inside a circle. If you can't outsail me, then that just means you suck at the primary point of this game, as the game is called Sea of Thieves. It's not Thieves of the Sea, it's Sea of Thieves. Meaning, the very first thing you should be really good at in this game is sailing your ship. And it's really hard. I get it. I understand. Playing solo is a very difficult job when you're doing everything by yourself. I understand this concept, being a single father. But, there again, a lot of these players, the only thing they seem to know how to do is try to board my ship, which I'm actually getting much better at keeping them off, and sailing in a way where they get frustrated. And the thing that pisses me off is even the big streamers now are starting to say, well, maybe they should put a time limit on the Hourglass. No. Why should I, the person who's actually good at sailing, be penalized because this other dumbass doesn't know how to sail their ship, and the only thing they can rely on is trying to board me? I've had players I've gone into Hourglass against just recently who never fire a fucking cannon, and the only thing they try to do is board me. Let that sink in. They never fire the cannon, and they only keep trying to board. Meaning, if they fire the cannon at all, it's to try to shoot out to wherever I am. However, when you do that, it makes a different noise. So if I'm moving one way, I immediately know, oh, go the other way. Start turning the ship now. And then they gotta take a mermaid back. And then they try it again. And then I switch directions again. No player in this game, I've never run into a player who will literally stand still and let themselves get shot or sorted by another player unless they're testing out some new mechanic. Then, and only then, will they stand still for that, because they want to see how much damage they take from this new weapon or whatever. So why, if you will not stand still and let another player shoot you, why would you expect me to keep my ship still or moving so slow to make it easy for you to shoot me? Why on earth would I do that? No, I'm going to keep sailing until I feel I have the advantage. It's up to you as the opposing player to sail your ship in a way that does not give me an advantage. Either keep yourself out of my cannon range and behind my ass, or give up. If you can't keep up with me, if you can't outsail me, then you should not be sailing in a game that is 90% sailing a ship. And if you can't sail and use your cannons, then you should probably not be solo. Maybe you should have a competent crew member who knows how to sail the ship so you can use the cannons. And there has been many times where I've actually gotten myself into a good position where I knew I had the advantage. I was so far away from the other player that I see them raising their sails and their ship sitting still. It's like, okay, they're clearly coming for me. They're like tired of trying to sail around and they're swimming over here because now I'm moving in a circle. So what do? I move slightly to another direction, put my ship in a spin, and I swim over to their ship. And a lot of times when that happens, I actually manage to get on board, and uncontestedly, I can now sail their ship out of bounds. So, I mean, if you have a problem with players, quote unquote, running, maybe you're the problem and you need to actually think about, is this the game for me if I don't know how to sail a ship? Because of the fact it's called Sea of Thieves. And as far as the new Reaper quest goes, I'm not even going to do it. I don't give a crap about doing it anymore. I don't care about anything coming in the rest of this new season. I was going to spend time sitting around with my daughter when I had time over the summer, and we were going to play, and we were going to do the new Reaper quest. But if this is the kind of bull crap that they're going to pull, where, because you have to be seen on the map dropping it off, well, then I'm just not going to fucking do it. Because any other player worth their salt who wants those commendations, they are just going to camp out at Reaper's hideout and wait for me to bring the skull to Reaper's hideout. And they're going to be there waiting, and then they're going to kill me one way or another, so it's not even worth doing it. I mean, that's why people don't really go after the Reaper chest. Unless you do the Fort of the Damned, where you get 2 every time, no one really cares about the Reaper chest. Yeah, there is a slight upgrade for it, or a slight uptick for it recently, but still not a lot of... I mean, there are so many times nobody cares about the freaking Reaper chest marked on the map. In fact, a lot of times, because there's so much, and that's what I'm waiting for now. I'm waiting for the next season or the season after that, when there's another big quest that everybody's going to be all hyped up for, and everybody's going to be doing that. And meanwhile, that's when I'll do the Reaper quest from this season. When nobody cares about it. When they're all worried about the next big thing. While they're all busy doing that, I'm going to go do this. Maybe then I can actually get it done. You know what? Maybe I'll just join a crew and I'll actually just sit there with the people camping out at Reapers. Maybe I'll get it done that way. Join some open crews. See who wants to camp out at Reapers and wait while everybody's trying to do this right now. Because that's the way it's going. But anyways, let's move on to our last topic before I go. Talking about the Birdman. Once again, I know I keep saying in videos, I'm going to try not to talk about this guy, but he keeps making these videos, and as long as he keeps making these videos, when it's relevant, I'm going to keep talking about stuff. So, I can't remember if it was the last video or the video before that he made, but I think he was going after Nerdrotic. He's gone after this guy like twice in recent videos. But he was talking about this guy Nerdrotic, and each time he's brought this guy Nerdrotic up, he keeps saying that, oh, well, Nerdrotic must be a racist because he doesn't like this person. Maybe he just doesn't like the actor or actress because they're not a good actor or actress. Like I said, I mean, Kevin Hart is not my cup of tea as far as an actor goes. I mean, I don't see a movie coming out with Kevin Hart and go, oh, I gotta see that. Does that make me racist? No. There are plenty of black actors out there that I do enjoy their content, that I do enjoy their movies. Kevin Hart is not one of them. Are there a few Kevin Hart movies that I enjoy? Yeah, like I said, the newer Jumanji movies were pretty good, even though they had Kevin Hart in it. He was not the main reason I went to see those, though. In fact, the main reason I went to see those was for Karen Gillan, and then maybe The Rock or Jack Black. But Kevin Hart, no. Honestly, I find Kevin Hart to be quite annoying. He's always got these loud, crazy, high-pitched screams that he has to do in like every fucking movie, and it's grating on the ears. However, I enjoy like most every movie that Morgan Freeman or Samuel L. Jackson's made. I think it is a tragic loss that we just recently lost Tony Todd, who's been in a lot of things I've enjoyed. And I loved him in the Final Destination franchise. I thought he was amazing. I honestly thought he was Death. I kind of wanted them to go with that, but no. He was in Stargate. I enjoyed his role in Stargate. I enjoy his role as Candyman. He's been in a ton of stuff I've seen. That's just to name a few. And he will be greatly missed. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because whenever he talks about Neurotic, aside from the fact that's the problem. He always got to attack people and try to call them racist. And like one of the things he's doing to try to say that they're racist is he's like, well, you said all this about these movies. Where's your review on the movie Sinners? Okay, well, I brought that up in actually in the video both times when he asked about the movie Sinners and where the review was. The first time I actually let it go. The second time I actually left him a comment where I actually stated Neurotic is not a horror channel. Therefore, Neurotic is probably not going to review the movie Sinners, being that it's mostly a horror movie. I don't even know what the movie's about because I hardly remember trailers. I mean, it kind of looked like some deadites, maybe vampires or werewolves. I don't know. I might sit down and watch it one day. But I haven't watched it yet. And that is why I believe Neurotic has not done a review. Not because he's racist, but because he isn't a horror channel. And I actually got attacked in the comment section. Some dude was not the Birdman, some other fan of the Birdmans was like, "Are you trying to discredit the Birdman?" I'm like, "No, I'm just pointing out that Neurotic is not a horror channel. So therefore, he's probably not going to talk about it. He's going to talk about things that's really going to resonate with the nerd fandom. Video game stuff, science fiction stuff, fantasy stuff. The Marvel movies are science fiction and fantasy. Sinners is a horror movie with a little fantasy base, if it's vampires or werewolves. Hell, even if it's zombies, I mean, that's more science fiction, I guess, but it's not screaming for nerds. And you know what? I don't even freaking watch Neurotic. I mean, I've seen some clips from his videos from other people talking about him. I might have seen one or two of his videos pop up when I just let YouTube play on its own. And it thinks like, oh, because you watched this thing about Star Wars, he's talking about Star Wars, so it plays it. But I don't go out of my way to watch Neurotic's videos, so I don't know. Maybe the guy is racist. But according to the Birdman, every white guy is racist. Because he actually finally did it. I think he's watched my other video because he actually did finally bring up something about Asmongold. And he finally mentioned the Matt Walsh movie. But you know what he hasn't done? Where's your review of the Matt Walsh movie, Am I Racist, Birdman? Huh? Where's your review of that? Where's your sit-down reaction to it? Bet you never will. Because it will shine a light on just how ridiculous some of this crap is nowadays. Which is what made that movie so popular. But the Birdman will never review it. The Birdman's very leftist. Is a very big leftist. I mean, he says he's not. He says he doesn't get into politics. But it definitely seems like he leans all the way to the left. But, like I said, if he wants to prove it, sit down and do a reaction to Matt Walsh's movie. Don't just sit there and bring it up. Don't just have a 2-second comment where you make a comment about it. Actually sit down, react to the movie. Let's see if it changes your mind. Let's see if it can open a dialogue. Like I said, he won't do that, and he won't probably ever sit down and discuss things with me. But no, that's all I wanted to say on the Birdman. I mean, I am a fan of his channel. The funny thing is, this is the really funny part. I'm a fan of his channel. When he does the stuff like Everything Wrong with CinemaSins, I love that shit. I love that he points out the shit that they don't address or that is so stupid, like needing explanations and then bitching that they're getting explanations. I love every time he points that out. Because that's the biggest thing I hear complaints on. Oh, there's too much explanation. Do you know about this world? You're going to want to know how shit's done. And so I love it when he brings that stuff up. I am a fan of his channel. I do watch just about every video he does. I don't watch all his live streams, but I hardly watch anybody's live streams unless they're people playing Sea of Thieves. And usually I'm playing Sea of Thieves at the same time. But I do watch his channel. I don't watch Nerdrotic. But I also don't enjoy hearing people being attacked for stuff that it's like, how do you know? Just because they make a comment on one person, like most every reviewer agreed that the black lady, I don't know the actress's name. I'm sorry, but I don't know her name. She's not that big of an actress where I can remember her name. But a lot of people point out that she was basically useless. That it was primarily the Jack Black and Jason Momoa show. Or movie. It was their movie. They were kind of the leads. The boy was just kind of there, tagging along with them. In fact, if they had cut the other two out, that would have been fine. But they put in those two, and it was also fine. They didn't do a lot, but they weren't that bad. So whatever. My daughter enjoys it. That's all I care about. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. It's been a long one, I know. It's been a long time since I did one of these videos for you guys. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and end things, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.